The island nation of Japan has given the world several invaluable exports such as cars, technology, cuisine, video games, and so on, but perhaps the gift that is closest to many of our hearts is the visual storytelling medium that is anime. Anime isn't just one genre, but rather a medium that supports all kinds of different and diverse stories and creative expressions for many different audiences. Ultimately, it's just animation, but it's made in Japan. That being said, there are characteristics that apply more broadly to anime as a whole, and something I appreciate about it is that the music is hardly ever just a mere afterthought. They take their opening and closing theme songs pretty dang seriously, producing full-fledged commercially viable hits. Where in the West, we're usually good with like a 30-second jingle, or in more recent years, a simple title card. And some anime series boast original scores that are up there with the best of them and should for no reason be overlooked. And that is why we're dedicating today's episode to checking out some of my anime-related finds on vinyl, the good, the great, and the excellent. Let's get started. We'll kick things off with the soundtrack for Fooly Cooly, the surrealist sci-fi cult classic from the legendary studio Gainax. This is actually the first of multiple volumes available on vinyl. This show's got fantastic music, and as someone who loves the turn-of-the-century guitar rock sound, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to grab this collection. Most of the music for the show was written and performed by the Japanese rock band The Pillows, so if you're into riffy guitar music with a light J-pop flair, this is a good option for you. The biggest downside is that some of the songs featured on the album do not include the vocals that you hear on the show. I guess it's not a huge problem if you want to just take in those crunchy guitar textures, but otherwise, I recommend you check out the other volumes if you're wanting the complete experience. Speaking of Studio Gainax, while they've produced some remarkable outputs such as Fooly Cooly and others, they're arguably best known for producing the world's favorite psychological drama disguised as a mech anime, Neon Genesis Evangelion. There have been several, and I mean several albums worth of music from Evangelion released over the years, but the one that has been in fairly wide circulation recently is a 25th anniversary celebration release, Evangelion Finally. There's Rei. We're continuing the trend of having a cute anime girl on the cover, as you can see. I'll tell you right now, you'll be noticing a pattern. But this album largely features many of the show's big vocal themes, including A Cruel Angel's Thesis and all its high-energy J-pop glory, and a couple of different versions of Fly Me to the Moon, and of course, the legendary tune that has been dubbed by Reddit as the Weeaboo Hey Jude, Comme Su Sir Todd from the End of Evangelion film. And you need to check out these LPs. Pretty cool stuff, great color. Sadly, there is a limited amount of composer Shiro Sagisu to be found on this album, which is unfortunate as his score is such a huge part of the show. However, I have very recently acquired this, Shiro Sagisu's original score for Neon Genesis Evangelion, complete with Eva Unit 1 on the cover. Take a look at this elegance. Bunch of images from the series. I'm so pumped about this. There is so much great music from this show, and all very eclectic, ranging from intense and anxiety-inducing orchestral compositions and haunting choral arrangements to light bossa nova and groovy city pop numbers. There's much more beyond what you'll find on these two albums, but this should at least cover the essentials. Shiro Sagisu has been involved in many shows such as Bleach, Berserk, and His or Her Circumstances, but one of his earliest contributions to anime was writing the soundtrack for the classic 80s rom-com Kimagure Orange Road. I adore this show, but I will say it's not perfect. The storylines are often cliched and the characters can be borderline insufferable. Not Madoka though, but the show gets plenty right as well. The unapologetically 80s pastel aesthetic is super charming, and the music that goes along with it is absolutely killer. The show's soundtrack is seriously just banger after banger. As you can see, I've got two Orange Road records here, and neither of them feature Sagisu's score, but rather compile the show's many vocal themes, which Sagisu had a hand in, along with several other writers, musicians, vocalists, etc. If you're looking for some flashy, infectious 1980s bubblegum, I enthusiastically direct you to these albums, and there are several others that were reissued not long ago that feature even more. It's just an endless treasure trove of pop greatness. And you know, the powers that be need to get their crap together and get these Orange Road albums on streaming platforms, those cowards. I suppose YouTube will have to do in the meanwhile. One show that is especially well respected for its music is Shinichiro Watanabe's classic sci-fi western Cowboy Bebop. The show itself would often give a tip of the hat to the pop culture of the West, and the music was not exempt from this. Yoko Kanno and her band Seatbelts contribute an intriguing blend of hard bop jazz, blues, and sci-fi inspired orchestral themes. If you've watched Cowboy Bebop, you know how the soundtrack elevated the themes of the show and helped create countless unforgettable moments, and no doubt you'll enjoy reliving them as you tap your toe along to Yoko Kanno and Seatbelts. The lovely Faye Valentine has the cover all to herself. Her story arc in the show is probably my favorite of the bunch. And I got the Ein colored set of LPs, as you can see. Nice brown color. And second one is white. You can see that on camera. And there are lots of variants out there. It also comes with a little poster if you're interested. But most importantly, the vinyl itself sounds fantastic, and the band's next level musicianship is well served by the medium. Even if you don't have the slightest interest in Cowboy Bebop, or you don't even care for anime and you're watching this video for some strange reason, this soundtrack is beyond worthy of a couple of spins. What a surprise. It's not an attractive female, but none other than little Goku being his happy, lovable self. This here is a 2021 compilation of the martial arts fantasy adventures vocal themes. So the music for Dragon Ball can feel like a mixed bag at times. Sometimes you'll get these iconic themes that will instant transmission you into the world of the show and probably stick with you for the rest of your life. And other times you're force-fed these uninspired numbers that don't quite have the same timeless quality. So you're left with a handful of bangers along with a bit of filler, not unlike the show itself actually. In any case, this soundtrack at least has the good stuff, including Makafushiki, Adventure, Romantico Aguerrillo, and several other lesser known tunes. This album's a great source for 80s cheese as well as fist-bumping anthems that will make you feel like you're on top of the world, soaring across the sky on your own flying Nimbus cloud. And now this is an anime I've never actually watched. My research shows me that Crusher Joe was a film from the 80s based on a series of science fiction novels. If you've watched Crusher Joe, you'll have to let me know how it is in the comments. And I'm just now realizing how much of today's selections are from the 1980s. Regardless, Bloodbath Highway is a high-energy jam, and the score that follows is suitably majestic for any space opera worthy of its stripes. I went into this experience without any expectations really, but the sweeping soundscapes were such a nice surprise. It holds up really well, even when it works in some of those synths, those electronic touches. This wasn't the priciest find, so if the Crusher Joe original soundtrack captures your interest, you should be able to find it online without too much trouble. High School Kemen Gumi is a relatively lesser known or forgotten comedy from the mid-80s. And while there's some mildly fun, goofy compositions here and there, as a whole, this soundtrack is mostly just amusing at best, but I showed up with the opening theme song, and it's definitely there, so I can't say I was too disappointed. This album is harder to come by, so if you're interested, you may have to again reference YouTube, if only to check out Ushiro Yubi Sasaregumi, the theme song. It's as cheesy and bubblegum as it gets, which actually cements it as a perfect, nostalgic 1980s pop song in my opinion. But in all seriousness, the arrangement on this is so complete and flawless, it kind of left me in awe. And to end on a high note, let's take a look at the soundtrack for the highly influential dystopian action movie that really needs no introduction. The music for Akira was performed by the music group Gei no Yamashiro Gumi. It's a mouthful. And I have to say, more so than any score we've looked at yet, what we have here is not just a breathtaking musical backdrop, but a whole dark, epic soundscape, pulling you in, getting you fully immersed. The Indonesian gamelan music is as haunting as it is stunning. You'll find yourself just sitting there long after side D has ended, trying to recover from the experience, and at the same time not really wanting to. As you can see, this soundtrack left quite an impression on me. I wouldn't recommend it for casual listening. Frankly, it would almost seem disrespectful to hit play without being, ready to wholeheartedly engage with it, but you do have to give it a listen. And when you do, brace yourself because there isn't much out there like it. Here's a gatefold, pretty awesome stuff. And there you have it. That's all I've got. If you've got any favorite soundtracks or interesting finds on vinyl, hit up those comments down below and share your thoughts. I'd obviously love to read all about it. Thanks for watching. We have plenty more reviews and other fun stuff lined up, so be sure to keep an eye out. All I ask now is that you have the best week possible, and we'll see you again very soon right here at the Vinyl Brotherhood. Arigato gozaimasu. Mata ne.